Ron and Dylan Cohen, welcome to Shinboner Stories.
See? Not me.
That I would interview.
I don't know why.
All right, you ready?
Not me.
You ready? Go.
Ron and Dylan Cohen, welcome to Shinboner Stories.
Thanks for having us.
When I first decided I wanted to do this program, the two of you came to mind as the two people that I wanted to make sure I had on first. Whenever I think about my football story, I always think about the two of you, and I feel like the three of us as a trio are so entrenched in the North Melbourne life together. It's definitely our thing. So, Dad, start with you. You moved here at 2 years old to Australia. What made you support North?
Yeah, good question. There was a variety of teams over the years. Back then it was only the VFL, but then there was all of this big commotion and everything when Ron Barassi came across to North Melbourne,
In the 70s.
in the 70s, about 72, 73. I was quite young and I didn't really have a proper team because my parents never followed the footy. And like I said, there was quite a bit of fanfare is the word. Barassi's coming to North. North have lured him out of retirement. He's the super coach. In a way, similar, but not the same as when Clarko came to North. There was such a lot of fanfare, a lot of excitement. And all of a sudden, pretty much, North became the team of the 70s. So it was great for me because then I had rode the success going to school during that period.
You've been to all 4 premiership wins.
No, 3 out of the 4. I missed 75.
Which was your favourite?
Oh, I'd probably have to say 96. I think that was a really good one, only because I was a little bit older. I wasn't a kid anymore, and I could really enjoy the footy. I knew all of the players, obviously, in terms of who they were. It was a super team, and it was actually a really exciting game as well. So North were down, and then they had to catch up. So I think that was probably my favourite one.
Where do you, because you didn't grow up in a football household, you sort of started it and then passed it on to Dylan and I. Where do you think your passion came from?
I think I just really liked sport. And back in those days, it was really footy during the winter, cricket during the summer, maybe a little bit of tennis. But, again, the Australian Open wasn't as big as what it was now. So they were really the main 2 sports. I played basketball, I played footy as well. So it was really because of that.
So it started with just you, and then Dylan and I came along. What was the decision behind? Was it always your mission to get the 2 of us into footy?
No, look, I wasn't really sure whether you'd enjoy going to the footy, actually. I used to go to the footy all the time anyway, with friends or sometimes by myself. I always had a membership, for over 40, 45 years, whatever it is, since I was a kid. And I think I took you guys to a couple of the pre-season games because I thought they were shorter. I think they were shorter games. And if you didn't like it, it wasn't a big deal. You could just get up and go. And it seems like you enjoyed it.
The first memory I have of going to the footy, you and I went to a game at night. It was against Brisbane. I think it was 2002.
Wow.
They were obviously the reigning premiers and we lost. And that started a theme of like 6 or 7 losses in a row. And I'll never forget standing outside the MCG. We just lost to Fremantle in retro round by a point. And I stood there and I just sobbed and I was like, I'm never coming back ever again. And you looked at me and you said, I promise, one more game. And if we don't win next week, then that's fine. You don't have to come again. And the following week we played Carlton, lowly bottom of the ladder Carlton, and we thrashed them by 124 points. I think that was probably the turning point for me in terms of, I really love football. And that sort of got me hooked. And then I think it kind of just started to roll on when Dill started to come as well. So you and I went for a while, just the 2 of us together. And then along came Dill. Dill, what was your sort of first memories of going to the footy with Dad?
To be honest, I actually don't recall my first game, but probably remember, I think would have been about 2004. I think David King was my favourite player, and I had his jumper, the really old school North jumper with the grey stripes and the dashing kangaroo. But I actually can't recall my first game. I do remember heading to a couple of games where, I think a couple against Carlton where Daniel Wells kicked the goal from the pocket. I think
I remember
again
that.
2004, 2005. But I actually don't know the first ever game. I can't put a pinpoint on it.
And at going to school as a North supporter, we were very much alone. There were very few kids in each of our year levels that went for North. Being so passionate about the football club and about the sport, but being kind of on your own at school, what did that sort of feel like?
Look, to be honest, I never really gave it too much of a thought. Like, again, we were born into a North Melbourne family, had no choice, not no choice, but again, I wouldn't have it any other way. Um, but yeah, look, there was always one or two, and it sort of felt like, you always mates with them, just because, you guys were on your own. But, look, it was sort of, you're on your own, one or two other people, but you're always friendly with the ones that went for North.
As a family, as like a trio of the three of us, I think my favorite memory from the footy was round 18, 2022, the Cam Zohar King of Marvel game. It felt like the first win the three of us had been to together for what was an eternity through COVID and me living interstate. What is each of your, Dylan, can start with you, favorite footy memory, the three of us together?
To be honest, I reckon it was that a Sunday elimination final against Richmond. We were heading in, and all the talk was with Richmond, and they just missed out on the top four. And that season we had brought all these free agent players, and I really think that was probably the most enjoyable North game. Of course, it was a final, and also that Essendon final as well, followed by Geelong the week later. So that was those are probably the highlights for me. The other one as well that I quite enjoyed was again we went to again we didn't win, North didn't win, but me and Marnie went to sort of a game at the Adelaide Oval, which was also quite fun, sort of on the road and experiencing that away day game.
We booked that
Yeah.
trip like 48 hours before. It was last year against Adelaide, and yeah, we got pumped, but we booked it on the Thursday night. We were on the plane on the Saturday morning at 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and we were in the car on the way back to Melbourne Sunday at 6 a.m.
Yeah, correct.
It was good fun though. That was fun.
Mine probably was the final against Essendon
Yeah.
in 2014. Also for me, probably because I'd seen North win a lot of finals, but that was their first finals win for about seven or 8 years. So probably the first one
Since
when
2007.
yeah. So when you guys were sort of a lot younger, so probably that was the one for me. That was a great win as well. Great win.
And what, in your words, when you think about North Melbourne, what do you think the club represents and what does the club mean to you?
Yeah, I think the main one that people talk about, what's this Shinboner spirit? To me, it's batting above your weight. And what I mean by that is you're not Carlton, you're not Collingwood, Richmond, you don't have the supporters, the resources. But really, until the last few years, North have always been right up there. And, they've always actually had more success since when I've seen it until recently compared to those teams. Like the funny one for me was Collingwood in the 70s. It was the Collie Wobbles. They used to lose all the grand finals, whereas North played them and beat them in finals. Some of my favourite wins were against Carlton because Carlton was also a strong team. And then North used to beat them in finals, like 1985 when there was an elimination final. We beat Carlton twice that year, come from behind, and all of the people, my Carlton friends, they were just devastated.
Oh,
So
sure.
that's what it is, batting above your weight, but actually being entitled, being, within there. In other words, North belonged to be a good team along with the powerhouses.
Yeah, look, probably very similar answer, but I think it also, for me, it probably also represents that, there might not be a lot of the, large supporter base or, the players may not be these glitz and glamour type of players, but somehow they always find a way to, be better than everyone else. Again, maybe not currently, but with, I'm sure it'll turn the corner in a couple of years. And again, Pete, that I'm sure the Shinboner spirit will be, that'll be the perfect definition of what it is. So yeah.
I think for me, the form in and out for North changes all the time, and the wins come, the losses come, all that sort of thing. But nothing beats for me going to the footy with you two week in, week out, and that is really what football is all about for me. So, Dill, Ron, thank you for sharing your story.
Thanks, man. Great
And
to have a chat.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.